The Sharks were not facing elimination in Game 2 against the Vegas Golden Knights Saturday night, but they might as well have been. A loss would have created a near-insurmountable 2-0 hole. In NHL history, home teams taking a 2-0 lead have closed out the series 89.5% of the time, according to Hockey Reference, and the Sharks are 0-11 in series where they've lost. The first two games, Logan Couture's double overtime winner ensured they'd avoid the dreaded deficit, handed the Golden Knights their first postseason loss, and taught Vegas' wide-eyed fanbase a lesson in playoff heartbreak. The first 20 minutes and change, it looked like none of that would happen, as San Jose gave up the first two goals for the second straight game, but the Sharks whittled away at the lead, took it themselves, gave it back, and eventually took it back thanks in part to head coach Peter DeBoer's patience. Brent Burns was not at his best in Game 1, nor did he start strong in Game 2. The defending Norris Trophy winner made a costly turnover in his own zone in the lead-up to Golden Knights winger William Karlsson's first goal on Saturday, and San Jose was outscored, outshot, and outpossessed with the defenseman on the ice in Game 1, but Burns cut the Vegas lead in half with a power play goal in the first period, and gave his team their first lead of the series with a wraparound effort in the second. As he has all season, DeBoer took the good with the bad from Burns and continued to trust him. Burns 36-48 in time on ice. Toy on Saturday only trailed Marc-Edouard Vlasic 37-26. Kevin Labanc also struggled in Game 1 and parts of Game 2. Labanc's ice time dipped a bit in the first two overtime periods on Saturday, when DeBoer basically shortened the bench to three lines and rotated Labanc and Mikkel Boedker on Couture's wing, yet DeBoer kept Labanc on the top power play unit both times. San Jose had a man advantage in the second overtime. The second-year forward, one of the league's best power play passers this season, assisted on the game winner with a slip pass across the slot. Burns and Labanc rewarded DeBoer's patience, ensuring a series split before the teams renew pleasantries at SAP Center on Monday. The second round is far from over, and much farther than if the Sharks had returned home in a two-game hole. The Sharks experienced opposite sides of the sporting spectrum within a 48-hour span. In Game 1, their worst franchise loss in 217 playoff appearances. In Game 2, one of their most hard-fought, narrowest margins of victory in 20 postseasons. It's actually difficult to identify only 5 key points in a contest that went double overtime, and a series which instantly gained quadruple the amount of storylines. 1. What a momentum swing. And we're only 2 games in. Not only were the Sharks drubbed 7-0 on Thursday night, they also lost Evander Kane to a suspension for Game 2. After the defeat, head coach Pete DeBoer described San Jose as having a laundry list of issues to fix before Saturday night. Quite the change of scenery from then to now. The series goes to SAP Center tied at 1, where Kane will return to the lineup, in a best-of-5 series, in which the Sharks will have home ice advantage. Sounds a lot better now, right? 2. The Sharks made statements all night. Whether it was their physical presence, erasing an 0-2 deficit, playing without Kane, or staying calm after it looked like Jonathan Marchessault scored in the first overtime, the Sharks' resilience was on full display in Las Vegas. During the Game 1 felt like the second period was a turning point in the evening. And now in retrospect, I wonder if the game itself was a turning point of the series. It's a common expression that you'd rather lose in a blowout than lose a game in overtime. The Golden Knights now face their first mental adversity of the playoffs, only magnified by the fashion of defeat. The pressure now lies on them to respond in a road situation. 3. Brent Burns, X-Factor. The Sharks potted 16 goals in the first round. And considering his offensive prowess, you'd think Burns would have been responsible for more than 1 goal and 1 assist. However, with such a deep display of scoring, nobody was overly concerned. In Game 2, where Logan Couture was the overtime hero, Burns' pair of goals was instrumental in the comeback. We know he was dealing with some sort of ailment at the end of round 1, and if the 8-day layoff helped anyone best, you'd have to imagine it would be number 88. If he picks up the pace moving forward in this series, watch out. Vegas, like most teams in the league, doesn't have a defenseman who can score a wraparound like Burns did in the second period. 4. This one has to be 4-on-4 success. In 82 regular season games, the Sharks had precisely 1 4-on-4 goal. Saturday night in Nevada, they had 2. The less-than-regular situation presented itself numerous times in the game. Neal and DeMello tangled, so did Dillon and Perron, as did Vlasic and Marchessault, as did Dillon and Perron, again. The extracurriculars were largely initiated by Vegas, but certainly did not help them. Neither did the pair of power play goals scored by San Jose. 5. The legend of goalie interference continues. the fate of the Sharks lied in Toronto for a good 2 to 3 minutes. In the end, it was decided that Marchessault made contact with the goalie's stick. It spun him around 90 degrees to the left, which prevented Jones from his job, as stated in Rule 78.7. If you watched any hockey this past season, you know the goalie interference controversy came to an apex. Good teams, bad teams, they were all helped and hurt by a rule that was not consistently explained or enforced in black and white terms. You rarely see Jones in such bad position, and you rarely see him turn straight towards the officials after allowing a goal. Both happened, and gave an indication that the night was likely not over, even as the Vegas players and fans were elated with supposed victory. It's weird to say this now, but I'll trade the handful of times I know the Sharks got hosed by this rule in the regular season, for the time Saturday night when the NHL got it right. Box score: the Sharks blew a third-period lead, but salvaged a 4-3 double overtime win in Game 2 of their second-round series against the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday. Logan Couture scored the game winner on the power play with 14:47 remaining in the second overtime, tying the series 1-1. Meyer drew a hooking penalty on John Merrill with 14:55 remaining in the second extra frame, and Couture capitalized. San Jose rallied from a 2-goal deficit with 3 second-period goals, but Vegas defenseman Nate Schmidt tied the game with 6:32 remaining in regulation. Jonathan Marchessault appeared to win the game with about 3 minutes remaining in the first overtime, but the goal was overturned when a review in the Situation Room in Toronto determined he interfered with Sharks goaltender Martin Jones. Evander Kane missed the game due to a suspension stemming from a major cross-checking penalty in Game 1, but San Jose's offense did not miss a beat without him. Brent Burns and Couture each scored twice, and Couture's winner was his team-leading fourth of the postseason. San Jose trailed 2-0 just 20:26 into regulation, despite largely outplaying Vegas. The Sharks had 16 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Golden Knights' 10 during that stretch, but trailed by 2 thanks to a pair of defensive zone turnovers leading to William Karlsson's second and third goals of the playoffs. Tensions boiled over, and the rivalry between the NHL's 22nd and 31st teams shifted from hypothetical to very real. San Jose and Vegas combined for 15 penalties in 30 penalty minutes. That included 4 sets of matching minors. The win was San Jose's first in 4 tries at T-Mobile Arena dating back to the regular season. Standout performer Logan Couture's 5th career multi-goal playoff game could not have come at a better time for the Sharks. He tied the game in the second period, and sealed the split in the second overtime. He also led the team with 7 shots on goal, and only Brent Burns had more shot attempts, 17, than Couture, 13. Special teams: Sharks, 2 for 7 on the power play, 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. Golden Knights, 0 for 2 on the power play, 5 for 7 on the penalty kill. San Jose scored more power play goals against Vegas in Game 2 than the Los Angeles Kings did in 4 first-round games. In goal: Sharks, Martin Jones only stopped 26 of 29 shots, but stopped all 9 he faced in both overtimes. His kick save on Jonathan Marchessault, plus his denial of a wide-open James Neal with the knob of his stick, stood out as key saves during the first overtime to preserve the tie. Golden Knights, Marc-Andre Fleury allowed 4 goals, and opted not to freeze the puck before the turnover leading to Couture's game-tying goal. But he stopped 22 of the 23 shots he faced from the third period onward, and ensured the Golden Knights had an opportunity to tie the game. Turning point: Mikkel Boedker drew a high-sticking penalty 1:35 into the second overtime. The Sharks did not score on the power play, but they held on to the puck for most of the 5th frame, and were able to manage enough zone time to draw their second penalty of the second overtime. Injury update: Sharks, Barclay Goodrow, finger, played his first game since March 27 with Kane suspended. San Jose made no other lineup changes, meaning Joe Thornton missed his 41st consecutive game. Golden Knights, Vegas made no lineup changes from Game 1. What's next? The series now heads to SAP Center for Games 3 and 4. Coverage of Monday night's Game 3 begins on NBC Sports California at 6:30 p.m., with Sharks Playoff Central. Game 3 can be seen on NBCSN at 7, followed by a post-game edition of Sharks Playoff Central on NBC Sports California immediately following.